Hello and welcome to Aspen Lake Fisheries, a little gem hidden away in Ashton Keynes within throwing distance of the Cotswold Water Parks, approximately 12 miles from Swindon. Originally a 23-acre formal gravel pit, the owners have worked tirelessly over the last decade to create a 32-peg specimen lake with a large central island and a feature-filled match pleasure lake. You enter the car park through a time-latch gate that locks at 10 p.m. and reopens at 7 a.m. Once you shut the gate behind you, you find a fishery completely enclosed by an otter fence, disguised by high hedgerows with a spacious car park. The 32 well-spaced out swims make for peaceful, undisturbed, safe, secure fishing, whether you fish for a day session or a few nights. Once you have dipped your nets, sling and unhooking mat in the net dip, depending on the time of year, you can drive 2/3 of the way round the lake to drop off your kit before returning your vehicle to the secure car park, where there's a drinking water tap and probably the cleanest toilet on the water parks. The fishery offers the opportunity of a specimen fish, whatever your target quarry. It homes tench to 10.5 pound, bream to over 15 pound, crucian carp to over 3, and there are large perch, roach, rudd and especially carp, with the lake record mirror carp standing at an impressive 47 pounds 7 ounces. And we believe there are currently 4 different 40 pound plus fish to target. Most anglers target the stock of 120 carp, with 1 in 3 fish caught being a 30 pounder. Carp average around the upper 20 pound bracket, but as mentioned previously, there is every chance of a 40. And we think over the next year the lake will do its first 50 pounder. Other gems of the lake include a fin perfect upper 30 pound common and a beautiful but rare fully scaled carp that's packing on the weight every year. There are a number of very sensible but not excessive rules that include a barbless hook rule. All of the rules are on a printed board by the notice board in the car park and should be read thoroughly before fishing. The owners, Bob and Mary Lewis, live on site, are always available and spend a lot of time working around the complex. They are supported by the team of bailiffs, Ian, Malcolm and Steve, who regularly fish the lake themselves, know it inside out and are very helpful. They will always provide the latest catch information to maximise your chances of catching. The carp at Aspen rewrite the rulebook, but they are catchable, and as you will see from social media, hits of fish are common, but please don't think it's a runs water. Put the time in and you will get the rewards. I have learned that the carp here are solitary creatures or move in groups of 2 or 3 fish. However, on the plus side, there also doesn't seem to be a bite time, and you can go from 0 to hero in a second, usually when you least expect it. During the recent work around the lake, sections were partitioned off, drained, and the depths were levelled, so the margins drop off quickly to full depth. You will find a consistent depth of between 5 to 6 foot from the margins to the island, with a relatively soft bottom. Heavy-handed casting will plug the lead, but there are features if you lead around or use a deeper. These include where the dividing banks have been dug out, and some deviations in the depth have started to produce fish if you take the time to find them. Some parts of the lake, such as the car park pool next to the match lake, the beach pool and the mystery pool, have been left untouched. Depths here can vary, with an average of 4 to 6 foot, but drop into 12 foot plus and then quickly shallow into 2 foot. With heavily weeded areas and gravel bars, providing the fish a safe haven and natural feeding areas. I will take you on a quick whistle-stop tour of the lake from the car park pool, along the west bank, then around the top bank, onto the beach pool, and finally the mystery pool. As mentioned earlier, there are 32 well-spaced out swims. There are lots of features to fish to, which include reed-lined banks, lilies, deep holes, gravel bars, deep margins. Even on the areas that have been recently shallowed, there are deviations in the bottom to be found. Parts of the lake can also be weedy during the spring and summer. All swims have an island or far bank with an easy casting distance, and of course bait boats are also allowed. So I'll take you on a tour of the lake, the car park pool, so called because it's closest to the car park. This is an original area of the lake, as this wasn't part of the recent works. The bottom varies in depth. There is one particular area with a very deep hole, but in general the pool starts off quite deep before shallowing off steadily as it goes back towards the car park. There are defined shelves around the far bank, which can be real hot spots in warmer weather. There is a shallow bar between the car park pool and the next section, which is called the west bank, which is where the water was banked off during the recent works. As we move on to the west bank, this is a very popular part of the lake as you can drive to all of the swims, with some of the most frequently fished areas including swims known to the regular anglers as the Bench, the Little Beach and the Wallow. This stretch of the lake was part of the recent works and has been shallowed up to an average 6 foot. However, the contractors have left some deviations in the bottom, including some shallow bars where the booms were dug out after the works. There is a channel, a nice wide bay, patches of lilies, interesting margins and some surprise deep holes that can be found if you're led around. So now we move on to the north bank, which is at the top of the fishery. The north bank swims can once again be driven to drop off your kit, so these are very popular. This is generally the shallowest part of the lake, with tree-lined margins and patches of lilies. Each swim has easy casting distance to the island, and can be weedy in the spring and summer, but don't ignore those margins. As we move across to the top right-hand side of the lake, this is the beach pool. Originally there was only one swim in this area, but now there are multiple swims along this bank. This is another original part of the lake with an average depth of 9 to 10 foot, with some deeper areas, overhanging trees and shallow reed-lined margins. There's a shallow bank at one end created when the bulldozer pushed some of the spoil into this area from the island during the construction works, and again in warmer weather, do not ignore this area. This is joined to the last part of the lake by a large underwater pipe. The last part of the lake is called the mystery pool, called by some the wheel wash pool, as this is where the water from the plant that washed the lorry wheels used to spill into, so one end is quite silty. Now known as the mystery pool, as for many years no one actually knew what was in there, and the lake record Tench actually came from this area. Again, this lake was not part of the works, so has some great original underwater features such as gravel patches, lilies, some weedy areas and another gravel bank that divides this part of the lake from the out of bounds area. The last water at the fishery that you can fish as part of the syndicate or on a day ticket is the Match or Pleasure Lake. A small intimate pool with patches of lilies and some weed that is very effective to fish up against. There are plenty of tench in here to over £7. Lots of silvers, which includes some nice sized roach and rudd. Definitely worth a look. This is a great fishery and one I would highly recommend. It's not a runs water, but the prize for your efforts could be a £40 plus carp, so definitely worth a try. To join the syndicate, there is a short waiting list, so visit the website at www.aspenlake.co.uk and click on the tab for the waiting list form and follow the online instructions. And maybe, just maybe, I will see you on the banks here one day.